Well, here's the big headline. Here's the big takeaway from today's Supreme Court judgment. The Supreme Court spelling it out clearly that if your house is wrongfully demolished, the officer in question could very well have to rebuild it. So how did the Supreme Court come to these findings? Well, we'll take you through the Supreme Court judgment minute by minute, case by case in just the next couple of minutes. Now, there were a whole host of applications moved before the apex court that had red-flagged cases of bulldozer demolitions being done across the states of UP, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, to name a few. The concern raised in these petitions essentially was that whenever there was a case of a person accused in mob violence, there was state action taken in the form of these demolitions taking place through these bulldozers, and that this was not permissible. This is unconstitutional. That was the contention made before the apex court. This argument has struck a chord with the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court saying that the real motive of the state administration is clear as day. It is not to remove these illegal constructions, but rather to penalize those accused in mob violence. This, the Supreme Court said, is wholly impermissible. The Supreme Court saying, leave alone accused, even if the person is convicted, these wrongful demolitions is not the punishment that has been conceived under Indian law. The Supreme Court going on to say that this is clearly a blatant abuse of power. This is a state of lawlessness, that this is not something that the Supreme Court will sit idly by. The Supreme Court will not tolerate this, and saying that the executive cannot choose to replace the judiciary. The executive cannot do that function of adjudication and punishment. That is a function wholly and wholly of the judiciary. The judiciary is the one responsible for conducting a trial and then meting out the punishment. The executive cannot do that. The executive trying to do that is again a state of lawlessness, is a case of arbitrary abuse of power, and that the Supreme Court will ensure that no one is spared, that there is institutional accountability. And to that end, the Supreme Court passing out a whole host of directions. Number one, no demolitions without a show cause notice. A show cause notice needs to be issued to the person in question. Number two, the show cause notice needs to provide at least a 15-day window within which the person concerned can at least seek some kind of legal remedy. Number three, the show cause notice very clearly needs to list out what the violations were, what the nature of the construction was, what the grounds are for demolishing the house in the first place. Number four, the Supreme Court very clearly says a practice that was red flagged by the petitioners is that very often we find that municipal authorities are backdating their show cause notices. To check this practice, the Supreme Court saying that these show cause notices, if and when issued, will have to be displayed on a digital portal, will also have to be sent to the district magistrate. Number five, there needs to be a personal hearing where at least the person concerned can demonstrate his or her own case as to why no demolitions can take place. Also, there is a responsibility that has been cast on the municipal authority that they need to demonstrate why demolition is the only solution possible. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, the Supreme Court pointing out very clearly that if any of these directions are violated, the officers in question will not only face contempt of court, will not only face prosecution, but will also be responsible for restitution of the property in question at their own personal expense. So sweeping directions these coming in that could have far-reaching consequences across these states, the states of UP, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, when it comes to the issue of bulldozer justice or bulldozer demolitions, so to speak.
Hey, thank you for watching this on CNBC-TV18. Hope you liked it. For more such interesting news and updates, follow CNBC-TV18 on all the social media platforms.